Hi folks, my name is Ross. Welcome to my YouTube channel, East Coast DCC. I'm tempted at this point to go, ding. Who knows, we'll maybe keep that in, we'll maybe take it out. I'm out in the workshop today and I'm hopefully going to start building some baseboards for the railway. I've been looking at this for a long time. My plan is to build a TMD with a mainline running behind it. Give me an opportunity to run both individual locals in and out the TMD and to run longer trains on the main line in the background. I've been looking at this for a long time. A lot of bits in the stores cupboard to build this project. The one thing that I didn't have was the board to actually build the baseboards with, and been looking at various options. I've looked at some ready-made modular baseboards. There's some cracking stuff out there. Bit pricey for me. I've got the workshop, I've got some woodworking skills, so I've decided that I'm going to have a go at this myself. The one thing I didn't bank on when I finally decided to go ahead and build the layout was the shortage of plywood that there is in the marketplace just now. My local builder's merchant only had 18mm ply in stock. My idea had been to use 2.4 by 1.2 metre boards and cut them into the appropriate sizes. But as I say, they only had 18mm, and whilst I could have built it from that, I think it's going to be a bit heavy. You know, I'm planning on this being a permanent installation. I'm not going to be moving it about. So I do want it to be a bit more sturdier, but I thought 18mm might just be too much. Anyway, went down to the builder's merchants this morning with the measuring tape and a bit of paper and found a thing called Handy Ply, which was tucked away in the back of the builder's merchant. It's been there for quite a while. It's smaller, ready cut sheets of plywood, and it's absolutely perfect. So what I ended up doing was getting a selection of 1.2 by 0.6 metre boards. In old money, I think that's 4 foot by 2 foot. I got a number of 9mm boards, and then I also got a number of 18mm boards. And the plan is that the 9mm boards will form the top of the baseboard, and I will cut these into the sides. The 18mm is going to be pretty strong, pretty good for putting screws into. I'm going to screw and glue the baseboard. So I reckon the 18mm was worth a bit extra money to give that a rigidity and solidity in the baseboards. So I'm going to film this as we go along, fueled by Icelandic lava coffee, and hopefully by the end of this we'll have some modular type baseboards to show you. So good, we'll get on. So over at the workbench now, I'm going to be using Cobalt point motors. These are Cobalt IP analog. I did a lot of research into this and for various reasons decided this was the best one. So what I need to do is to give the edge of the baseboard 75mm clearance so that the point motor can sit up underneath the baseboard and not stick out the underneath of the board. I've worked out by cutting this board, which is it's actually 610mm wide. I can get 8 strips at 75mm out of it, so that will give me 8 boards to edge the side of the baseboard with the 9mm baseboard. And then for the cross bracing and the end, I'm going to obviously have one end piece there, one end piece there. I'm going to go with 2 to give me a total of 4 pieces up the board. Obviously I'll cut the board this way for that, and I will get 16 out of the board at 75mm. I'm just going to cut a template at the minute, see how it's all going to go, and then start offering that up to one of the baseboards to make sure that everything's going to work, rather than going mad and cutting everything at once, to make sure that my plan is going to work. Okay folks, so I'm now set up on the workbench. I'm I've measured 75mm on the 18mm ply. I then measured the distance, I'll let this go, the cable for the saw. Then measured the difference between the edge of the blade and the edge of the sole plate on the circular saw, which is 30mm. So this board here is clamped to give me a guide to cut this at 75mm. Got the safety gear ready, the gloves, safety glasses and ear defenders, because this thing here scares the bejesus out of me, so got to just make sure we've got all the gear on. Radio ear defenders, so we can listen to a bit of hard rock while we're doing the cutting. I'm not going to film this because it will go wrong if I film it, so catch you in a bit. Right, well, that seemed to have worked. Cut it fairly square, the guide worked quite well. So yeah, I need to cut another 3 of those. That'll let me make up 2 baseboards, and then I'll switch to my other boards and do the measurements for the end sections and the cross bracing. So again, not going to film that, bit dull. So we'll see you in a bit once all those sections are cut. Thanks. So when I changed the production schedule, I'm actually going to film cutting one of the boards. I've moved down onto the floor in an old pallet, just easier to work with a circular saw down there. So the board is clamped with the guide piece in place, set at 106mm, which allowing for the cut of the saw is giving me the board cut to about 73, 74mm. So yeah, here goes. There we go, nicely cut. I'm pleased with these, it's working well. And need my fingers to do this, so it won't work through my gloves. So back at the workbench now. System for cutting the side pieces on the pallet on the floor worked well, so I just horsed on, so that's all 8 cut out of one board. They've worked out just slightly under 75mm, I think they're 73mm, taking into account the width of the circular saw blade, but that'll still be okay because that'll give me clearance for the cobalt point motors. So what I've done now is got one of the 9mm boards upside down on the bench, placed 2 rails in, the side frames in loosely just to mark up the edge of the board on each side to give me the width, and then I've gone along about 100mm centres. And I'm going to pre-drill these basically so I don't split the baseboard when I'm putting the screws in. Screws are 3.5 gauge by 40mm. I've tested one of these already on the side frame, and it goes into this side frame without splitting it, and that's the other advantage I think of having used the 18mm board here for the side frames. That's less likely to split as the screw goes into it. So I'll now drill those holes from the inside and then flip the board over, and I can screw the 2 side panels in place. Oh, if only it was always as easy as that and as quick as that. So yeah, just put the screws in to hold the side on. I am going to screw and glue things. I just want to build this one as a template at the minute to see how I'm going to do the rest of it. One thing, probably going to drill the baseboard from the top because that has split a bit where the drills come through, saying that a bit of plastic wood or something like that over it will cover it over. So yeah, I'm now going to think about doing the cross braces. These are just in there to support it on the workbench. So going to have a think about the cross braces and come back to you once we've sorted that out. So I used the same technique to cut the pieces for the ends of the board and the cross bracing in the middle, this time obviously cutting across the board to minimise wood wastage. You would think that they would fit straight in, but because this is flush with the edge of the board and these will be going inside, I'm going to have to cut these down. So these are 610mm wide as they are, measured it, done the calculations, I'm going to have to take these down to 575mm, and I'm going to use a chop saw for that. Now, all joking apart, I'm going to put the safety gear on for this. This scares me even more, this machine. Personal experience, family experience, my brother-in-law almost took his hand off with one of these, so if you're using a chop saw, please be careful. If you don't know what you're doing, don't do it, get somebody else to do it. So I'm going to cut those down now to 575mm and check them in there to make sure that they fit. So now that I've got this one, I've checked it at the various points down the board. I know the length that I have to cut these to, so I'm now going to trim the other 3 up to give me the 2 end plates and 2 middle braces. So a bit of time since the end of the last clip. Basically what I've done is I've trimmed the rest of these centre pieces to length, screwed in through the side. I just now measured up to get the cross bracing at the same spacing. I think it's about 410mm from the edge to the centre of there, and then just put a couple of pilot holes in to let me put the screws through again, just making sure I don't split them. Time for those of you who are more observant, time hasn't moved on the Boyd Coddington workshop clock, but that's because it's 10 to 2. So the marvels of time lapse, and it's still 10 to 2. Anyway, there we go. That's the kind of basis of the board made. I said earlier, this is a kind of template, because what I want to do now is to work out if I can put holes in for cable running through, also alignment holes to make sure that the boards align up properly. But that's going to take a bit of thought. As I say, this is a template. I've not glued it yet. I'm going to take it to bits again. And I'll finally glue it, but it's given me an idea of how the other ones are going to go together. So hopefully once I get this finalised, the others will come together quite nicely. So I'm going to sign off now, go and get a cold beer. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll update you with the next stage when I can. So thanks again, cheers.